Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Supremacy Webinars. In particular, this one we will be discussing or answering all of your questions about Project Supremacy V3. So for some of you, this might even be your first Q&A for V3, since I know that we held a webinar I believe last week, maybe 10 days ago, for all of our new Pixel Scout members, a new group of great people that joined another one of our softwares called Pixel Scout a few weeks ago. And we want to welcome all of you that took advantage of the Project Supremacy V3 free trial, if you will. I know we gave you access to everything for 30 days. And if you find it useful, then of course you can continue on. There's nothing forced or anything. You would have to actually sign up to get, the paid version, which the reason why it's a paid version is because we pay for a lot of things ourselves to bring in data and things of that nature. And of course, it also helps support our development team because they do update and correct issues, on a daily basis inside of the Project Supremacy V3, because it is a rather, big, giant piece of software that does a whole lot of things. So there's lots and lots of moving parts inside of V3. I think we spent a full year and a half maybe on development into V3 before we even released it. Of course, it's an upgraded version of our original versions, but V3 now includes a dashboard. It's not just a plugin anymore. And as you can see the screen now, it just does lots and lots of things. We have other webinars. Oh man, I can't even begin to tell you how many webinars we have over V3 and all of the training that we have inside there over every single function that it does. So Herc's going here now on the webinars page, and you can see our handy dandy search feature. So if there's something that you would like to learn more about inside of the V3 software, then you simply type in a keyword and you can see it changing now, and it will take you to the exact second of that webinar that allows you to learn more about, that particular topic, because we know from experience when we first started this a couple of years ago that we do so much training and so many webinars that not everyone has the time to watch every single minute of every webinar. And, it's cumbersome if you just need to figure out one particular item of information and have to watch a 2-hour webinar, or pick and choose from 3 or 4 webinars to find that information. So we built this v3.projectsupremacy.com/webinars. Super duper handy search tool there. So please use that if you're in the dashboard and you want to know more about schema. Then you just type it in as Herc was showing you a minute ago, and you should be able to figure it out or learn more about that particular topic. As well as we have these webinars. We try to do them once or twice a month to just answer any of your questions that you have live. For those of you that can join us, then come on in and ask us questions, just basically about anything. I mean, we can go off topic too into SEO like we do at times, but primarily it's about the functionality of V3 and how you're able to do things more efficiently, faster, better, cheaper than, going out and buying lots of different tools and then trying to, remember that you have it and remember what it does. So a lot of cool features inside of V3, and we hope you find them useful. I think one of the tools in here that we should talk about probably is the metrics and the power of domains and the data that we're pulling in from, I believe it's Ahrefs now. We are paying for, you see here, the data, referring domains, trust flow, citation flow. Oh, actually, we're pulling in Ahrefs and Majestic. So you see trust flow, citation flow, DR. I forgot what DR stands for. I'm not as familiar with Ahrefs as I am Majestic, but Herc can explain that to you as well. So very cool metrics there, so you can sort of start understanding the power that your domains have when it comes to SEO and backlinking and how you're going to rank, because it does matter in the eyes of Google. Those are some metrics that third parties have calculated, but they do mean something. You can see Herc here has a lot of really powerful domains. TrustFlow 24 is great. TrustFlow 18 is great. If some of your properties you're trying to rank have a TrustFlow, down in the low single digits, then you may want to work on getting them some more high-powered backlinks to get that TrustFlow up to, in the double digits at least. Over 20 is great. But the higher the trust flow, the easier it's going to be for that site to rank. Anytime you want to add new content or go after a new keyword, it's just that much easier. I promise you, it's just that much easier for that site to rank when you're targeting a new keyword if you have a good trust flow on your domain. Domain rating is the Ahrefs side of things, as you can see here on the screen now. So those are some very important metrics that you should be aware of, at least. Sometimes you may be trying to rank for a keyword and it's just, I just can't get anywhere with it and I don't know why. Well, those simple metrics right there that we provide can be very handy in determining maybe your problem. Maybe you do need to get the trust flow up. Maybe you need to get the domain rating up. And typically those just mean going out and finding some powerful backlinks to come into that site and raise those numbers up. And I promise you that with high numbers like that, keywords will rank a lot easier. So that's just a little tidbit that I just want to make sure everybody's aware of, and making sure they understand that. It is a premium feature because we do pay for this data. We pay for it from those two providers, and it's really not expensive. We at all. $10 a month for 1,000 credits, a penny per credit, and it's really not that expensive for anyone to get all the metrics they need for their domains. Yeah, you can move it up and down, buy as many as you want, and yeah, you get a discount for annual as well. So that's the shop. You can do the same thing. That's kind of the a la carte section of V3. There's also the levels you can purchase on a subscription basis, where you get enough credits and things like that to do everything you need for one set price. So there's also that, right? So we give you the option to get into a subscription, which is a lot cheaper, or just purchase as you need. So we know how people feel about subscriptions, or some people feel about subscriptions and other people don't mind, but it's clearly up to you to do, make your choice there, and whatever makes you happy. We just try to do whatever we can to make sure everybody's happy with our software. I guess, I'm not sure what else to go over here exactly. We're gonna definitely just get some questions going here. Oh, we do have a lot more people showing up now. Like I said earlier, we got the message out kind of late. We were in a big meeting up until almost time to go, so we were a little late getting the announcements out to, especially to all of the new members. But we're glad you're here. We're going to be on as long as, you know, you guys are asking questions. So feel free to ask anything you want about how to best utilize Project Supremacy v3, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. Is that about right, Herc? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Yep. I see a lot of questions. How does one get v3? And Herc has been putting that in your chat boxes.
Yeah, if you guys came on, because we just sent out a notification to Pixel Scout users to attend this webinar. Even though this isn't a Pixel Scout webinar, we thought we'd send it to you guys anyways, because as Pixel Scout users, you guys have access to this tool. So if you do not have it, but you want it, please put in the chat box, I want it, or yes, and we'll send you a link to sign up for free to get this tool. And then we'll go over, it'll like Todd said, it'll be a Q&A webinar, okay? Based on, I mean, I don't want to start from the start here, but we'll do a Q&A and we'll just see how it flows, okay? So I guess, do you want me to just get going here, Todd? Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, okay. Go right ahead.
Since there is a lot of new users, I'm going to start here. I'm going to start on my dashboard. And this, like Todd said, for anyone that doesn't know, this is basically a WordPress management tool now with a lot of other features built in. And what you can see here, guys, this is my account. And what you can see, if I click on websites, you get an overall view of all your websites with a bunch of data on them. But the thing I want to point to right now is I'm managing 198 websites, WordPress websites. And managing that many websites can become a pain in the ass because, as you know, there's 3 elements to WordPress that need consistent updates. Number 1, the core version of WordPress. Number 2, all the plugins that you have installed on each WordPress site. And number 3, the themes that you have on each WordPress site. Now, if you're managing 198 websites and you want to keep them all secure, you have to stay on top of updates, because a lot of times updates aren't just feature releases, but they're security patches. So you definitely want to keep everything updated, cores, themes, and plugins. And doing that over 198 sites the old way is kind of shitty. You have to log in, update everything, log out, log into the next one, update everything, log out. So let me show you what I typically do when I log into V3, my account. So I go to dashboard. Once the sites are uploaded, once Project Supremacy is uploaded to your website, so it works like this, kind of simply. Project Supremacy v3 is a plugin that has a bunch of features that you install on your website, and because it's installed on your website, it integrates into this central dashboard, which gives you a bird's eye view of all your sites. So it's very simple. You download the plugin, you upload the plugin to your WordPress site, you activate it with your license key, and then boom, all of a sudden it starts pulling in data into your dashboard. So right now, with the 198 websites I'm managing, I see I have 142 sites that need to update to 5.2. I have 23 plugins that need to be updated, and I have 209 themes that need to be updated. So let's, what is that? 350, 300, so it's like 380 updates. I'm done there. I just did 380 updates. Successfully queued everything to be updated. That right there in itself is one of the greatest reasons to have a central dashboard, okay? Because I can do that. So the next thing I would do is look at my comments and clean up a lot of my comments. I know from just looking at my sites what needs to be deleted quickly, so I just go like this, okay? So for me, I know that these are something called PBNs. I just start going like this and deleting all my spammy comments, okay? And we're gonna have a delete all button here soon as well. But this is how I'm managing my websites. I'm not actually logging into my websites. I'm just doing this. Okay, I'm deleting, these are spam and post revision comments. It's just, it keeps my entire network clean. And then as that stuff is running in the background, okay, because our systems have to go in and do these things, If anything is going wrong with any of your websites, not only while you're performing updates, but also as it's checking, it does checks on your websites every 24 hours and then reports back to you, okay? Tells you if your websites are up, tells you if your websites are online or offline. So an uptime alert means that the website might be down. So it's telling you, go check your website and see why it's down. It could be for a bunch of different reasons. Your domain could have, or your domain name could have expired. Your website hosting could be having a problem. You could have a plugin issue that's crashing your site. But it's nice to know that I'll receive notifications here on all of my sites and all of your sites for you guys, that what's going wrong and why. A lot of times I'll forget to renew a domain. It'll go down and I won't get an email from the registrar, but I will get a notification for Project PSv3. These also come by email as well, so that you guys can get notifications to your email. And then I can go in and fix my problems quickly. Okay, so I'm just gonna clear all those out so it looks like I have no problems with my websites, but I know there's a few that are down because I've been busy doing other things. But that's the significant thing here, guys. It's a WordPress management feature so that you can do bulk items across all your sites, keep everything updated, keep everything up secure. And that is the feature that, for all you Pixel Scout users, this particular piece will be free for you guys for up to 50 sites forever, right? It's Dennis, it's 1 email per notification. We can think about doing a digest or a weekly digest or something like that. But yeah, anytime that a notification pops up here, you can choose to get an email about it, by the way. You don't have to. Let me show you. If you go to your account and go to your settings, okay, and you go to email notifications, you can choose to turn those on or off. Okay, so we have email notifications for backups, restores, core updates, and website deactivations, so things going wrong. So you can turn those up on or off. And then, yeah, we could probably build in like a more of a digest thing. I personally like to get single notifications for everything that's going on. And I have those filtered in my Gmail to go to a Project Supremacy folder so that I can go through and just read stuff, and it's easier to delete that way. So I'm not really going to do a presentation on stuff. I more want to do a Q&A with you guys, and we'll go down a rabbit hole typically when we go down a Q&A, because when you ask about a feature, it just takes us down a rabbit hole of all the other features that are tied into that single feature. So if you guys have any questions about any of the features that you see here, or anything that you want to ask as users, go ahead and ask those, and we'll start the webinar like that. So Dawn asks, can you log into a specific site from here? So here we go down the first rabbit hole. Each website, when you install it, this tag will be automatic, and that will allow you to log into the WordPress admin of each website. And that happens automatically, this little tag here. So if I click this, it'll take me right over to this particular website, right into WordPress admin without having to log in. It remembers that. The next layer, because there's multiple layers, let me see if I can find one. Okay, so say this website, for instance, this one has a WordPress direct admin login, but it also has a cPanel direct admin login. So if I click on the cPanel tag, it logs me immediately into the cPanel for that website. That is an optional one. The WordPress happens by default, but the cPanel is optional. And where you would set that up, if you do want one-click access into the hosting cPanel, is you go to the Manage Website tag for that particular website, okay? And you fill in your cPanel details here, okay? And then once you fill them in, you click Save and Verify. It'll do a test connection. And if the test connection is successful, then that tag would show up on your dashboard, and you can now have one-click cPanel access. So it'll show up like this. Okay, so there's WordPress, there's cPanel. The next ones are kind of optional and kind of something that I do for each one of my websites that help you even further, because there's a bunch of different access points for each website. There's obviously WordPress, there's cPanel, but then there's also, where is your website hosted? So who's your hosting provider? And the other one I like to add is, where is the domain name of that website actually registered? All 4 of those items can be in different places. So The way we handle, or the way I personally handle and teach you guys to handle one-click access into your hosting account as well as your registrar account is through the use of something called tags. So when you guys install the Project Supremacy V3 plugin on one of your sites and now it shows up inside of your dashboard, one of the things you can do is start adding tags to your sites, and that's what these colorful little things are, okay? So that you can start grouping your sites by really whatever you want, okay? So what I do is I go to manage tags and I create these groups of tags. So you can see if I create a tag, I can give it a tag name, I can give it a color, okay? And then I can also supply a URL to make that tag clickable. So what I do is all the blue tags are all the different hosting companies that I work with. These are all the places where I'm hosting my websites. So I make those blue. The next group is green. Okay, I make a bunch of green tags, and these are all the domain name registrars where I have my domain names actually registered. And then the orange tags I use as the type of site that it is. So for instance, I have sites that are built for AdSense income, affiliate income, clients that I work with, lead gen sites that I use, private blog networks, my own personal sites, SERP builds that I do, and are mine and Todd's Supremacy company website. So I add 3 tags by default to each one. So you can see quickly just by scrolling over your tags that Lollipop Lustkill is a private blog network site. It is hosted at a company called IP Networks, and the domain name is registered at Phoenix. So now, along with having one-click WordPress access, one-click cPanel access, I can also quickly get into my host, because all I do is grab the login for this host and I save it as the tag and make it clickable. So that takes me right to the login for the hosting company, and this one takes me right to the login for where the domain name is registered. And that, when that is all, you only have to set it up once, and once it's done, it's very organized. It's very, very fast. And then when these notifications start happening and say, you know, a website goes down, well, you know, obviously the first thing I'm going to go do is check on my domain, make sure it's still registered. Next, I'm going to go log into the hosting company, check on the back end what's going on in there. You know, then if I can access WordPress, maybe there's a plugin conflict or something, then I can log into either cPanel or I can log into WordPress. So once all that information is set up once, it's always there, and it's extremely quick to access your sites. The other thing about tags is once your websites are tagged, you can now start filtering your dashboard, because right now you can see I have all 198 websites loaded, but sometimes I don't want to see everything. I just want to see a specific group of websites based on a tag. So what I can do now is set a tag filter, okay? So I can say, all right, just show me all my supremacy sites. So I could click the tags, it'll show me all my available tags, and then I'll click the one I want, and it'll filter the sites down, and you can see now it's only showing 6 of 198 websites, and you guys can recognize a lot of these names: SERP, Project Supremacy, V3 of Project Supremacy, Keyword Supremacy, Supremacy Digital. These are all our company websites that Todd and I run. Now, why is that nice? Why would I want to specifically load and tag a single group of websites? Here's a better example. I'm going to clear this tag. And this time I'm going to open up, let's say I want to see all the websites that I'm hosting at IP Networks, a specific host. Okay, I can do that. And now I see all my websites that are specifically hosted with a specific host. Now, why this might be of interest to me is in this scenario, these are all what are called private blog networks, and they're all hosted on a single host. Now, if I see a bunch of websites either deactivating from Google, which you can see we track if the site is indexed in Google or not, green means yes, red means no. If I start seeing all these go down, then I know that there's a problem with my PBNs on this specific host, and then I can take specific measured actions against that. The other nice thing about tags is, let's say I have a specific setup of plugins, or let's say a new plugin or a new theme comes out and I want to put that plugin or group of plugins onto a specific type of site. So for instance, one of our softwares is called SERP, and what that helps us do is build sites really quickly that rank really fast. Okay, so I can select the SERP tag, then it only loads my SERP sites. Okay, now what I can do is go to this Actions tab, go on switch view, okay, and then it shows me all those sites with that specific tag SERP So I'm going to select all, so it displays them all. Sorry about my phone. Then what I can do from there is I want to take actions on this group of sites. So I would select them all, and you'll see on the right side, it'll load them. Okay. Now I can do something like this. What do you want to do? Well, I want to upload a new plugin or a new group of plugins. So I can select the plugins action tab. Okay. And first it'll tell me what plugins are loaded on the sites and whether they're active or not. So for instance, I can look at Classic Editor, and I know that Classic Editor is activated or not activated on each of these sites, right? So it's kind of a quick overview, but now let's say I want to add a plugin. This blue button, I can go upload plugins. Okay, I can search WordPress for a plugin, so maybe something like Stat Counter. I can search WordPress for that, and then I can upload this plugin to all 35 sites with one click. And the reason I can do that is because I tagged my sites first as these are SERP sites, and I want this plugin only on every SERP site. The other thing we can do from there, and I told you we'd go down a rabbit hole, is I can actually store my own plugins that I use all the time. And then I can even create groups of plugins that I can upload. So for instance, for SERP there's certain plugins I like to use on that certain type of build. So what I did is, and I'll show you how I created the group later, but you can see I have what's called a SERP setup. If I select this group, it checks off the plugins that I like to have installed on my SERP type sites. So these 5 plugins specifically, I put on every SERP style site. Okay, or if you had a client, you might have certain plugins that you must have on every client site. You can save those plugins to your repository, put them into a group, and I'll show you how to do this in a second. Then as you add a new client, you can select the client and just choose the group, and it'll upload those 5 plugins to that client. But in this instance, I have 35 sites loaded. Well, I can upload these 5 plugins to those 35 sites with one click, right? Because I have everything organized and really easy to work. So how you would create plugins, if you go to your account, you go to settings, how to store plugins and group them. You'll notice we have my plugins and themes tab in your account settings. This is where you store your favorite plugins, and you can either search for them from WordPress to put them into this storage area, or you can upload them manually into this storage area. You could do the same thing for WordPress themes. If you like to work with specific themes every time, you might as well put it in your favorites folder, and then that way it's always available to you to upload to sites, whether it be singular or in bulk. Okay, now you can see I have 27 different plugins in this, but if I wanted to create a group, that's where the plugin groups button is. Okay, so I would either create a new group or I would select an existing group. Typically you would create a group. So this would be like example group, right? And then I could create a color for that group, doesn't matter what color. Okay, and then I would just go through all the plugins that are stored in my favorites, add them into the action area here. So ConvertBox is another one I use a lot, Thrive product. So these 4 plugins now I'm putting into a group called example group, right? So now if I want to upload the example group of plugins to my private blog network of sites, the group is now available to me. So that's kind of the long answer to your short question, Don. And like I said, every feature relates to another feature. That's why every time someone asks a question, it'll probably take us pretty far down a rabbit hole. Dorn says, schema, any info on that would be awesome. I would just request, Dorn, that you ask a more specific question, and I'll come back to that as I'm answering more specific questions like this one, for instance. Randy says, when using aggregate review schema, how long before stars should start appearing in the SERPs? What Todd said in private is correct. When we build schema, okay, so like for instance, for projects, our own V3 Project Supremacy site, I'll give you an example of our schema that we're using, one type of it that we can use. Okay, so this is our onboarding series for Project Supremacy V3. It's your video manual for how to use all the features in Project Supremacy v3. Everybody that is using Project Supremacy v3 should definitely be watching these training videos. This is basically the best training you're going to get. I'm going to send that to you guys. But if I go to this particular video, you'll see underneath the video, I'm asking people for a rating so that, you know, I'm getting feedback on whether this video is doing its job. So right now we have this little box here where you can leave a star rating. Okay, so if I add one, let's add another little 5-star. I'll click on it and it'll say thanks for leaving your rating. 4.9 over 9 votes. This is an aggregate rating schema. Now, all we can do, and I'll show it to you over here as well, all we can do for Google is supply the aggregate rating schema. Okay, so here it is right here. Here's the schema code. I'll just render it out for you guys. Okay, so this is the script that's in the header of each of those video pages. And what it's doing is basically counting the votes that come in, averaging them out, and telling Google, you know, we have an aggregate rating of 4.9 over 9 votes. And then Google has to decide once this code is injected into your websites, whether they're going to show the star ratings or not. If there's any errors in your schema, they may choose not to show it. If there's anything they don't like, they may choose not to show it. So to answer your question, how long does it take before they show up? Well, everything has to be correct at first, kind of error and warning free, and then it's really up to Google. All we can do is supply the code, but we cannot force Google to show the star ratings. So there is no, you know, measured number that we could give you that you could check after 24 hours or something and say, why is it not there yet? All I would do is make sure using the structured data testing tool that your schema is error free. And I'll show you that really quickly. And this is built into Project Supremacy v3 as well. But let's say I build the schema for this page and then I just want to test it to make sure Google likes it. Okay, there's 2 ways I can do it actually. So let me show you both. Number one, once I've built the code, I can click this green button, perform validation. And really what that's going to do is, there we go. It's giving me a couple errors. Okay, so with Project Supremacy v3, what you just saw is not really enough information. I mean, until you get good, it's not enough information. So typically what I would do rather than this, for people that are beginners, I would go to the structured data testing tool, put in the URL that you've built schema for, click on run test. And what that's going to do on the left side is load the actual code of your website. So for instance, if I press Control U on this page, this is the code, right? I'm sure you guys have all done this before. You want to look in the background. That's what the structured data testing tool is doing as well. It's loading the code. It's looking for JSON LD schema. Okay, and there we go. It found aggregate rating with 0 errors, 0 warnings. So I know everything is okay here. So if there was an error, it would show up here, errors and warnings. Once you have 0 errors, 0 warnings, you're good to go in Google. It can happen pretty quickly, but if it's not happening, there's just no answer. Google's just deciding not to show it. I would maybe try a different type of schema. I would try filling out more schema properties, stuff like that. So 2 questions in about how do we set up a specific type of schema. So now I'll go more into that. Let me close certain things here. I don't want to get lost. So to build schema from scratch with our schema builder, it's really quite simple if you have a little general knowledge of what schema is. So let me ask you guys a question. Just when you guys go to build schema, what is the very, very, very first thing that you do? Like, say you had a tool, say you knew how to build it yourself. What is the very first thing you have to decide on when you're going to build schema? Somebody answer me that, and then I'll take you through. I'm just testing you guys' level of knowledge about schema. Dorn says, what do you want to display? Okay, Peter got it. Okay, the type of schema to use is the answer. If you guys want to build schema, you have to know what type of schema you want to use first. Now, if you're really new to schema, you might not know the type of schema that you want to use. And in that, Project Supremacy doesn't tell you what type of schema to use. You would have to do a bit more research in Google. So for instance, if your main question was like, how do I get Google stars, right? This might be you if you're very brand new to schema. Like you don't even know the word schema. You would type something more like this in, how do I get Google stars? Okay. And then you're going to read articles where it's saying stuff like structured data, microdata. And if you dig a little further, where you'll end up is I need to build aggregate rating. And as you get further down, well, an aggregate rating is simply a rating of something. You're either rating a book, or you're rating a business, or you're rating a person, or you're rating a pair of shoes. Does that make sense? So aggregate rating is just a rating, but that happens to be the specific type of schema that is responsible for the stars showing up in the Google results. But if you know more about schema, you can't just put well, actually you can. You can't just put an aggregate rating. The proper way of doing schema is you can't just rate nothing. You have to rate something. So for you guys, probably where you're going to want to start is the type of schema. Actually, let me ask you this. Dorn, you've asked a question, and then someone else. You guys want to build schema. Who are you building schema for, or what type of website are you building schema for? And let's look at it from that point of view, and I'll show you guys how to do it. So Dorn, what do you want to build schema for? And whoever else is curious about schema, why do you want to build schema? What type of website, or what reason? So answer me that, and we'll start there. Okay, so Peter says a website promoting an app. Okay, so then Dennis says a local business. Peter's another answer, a mobile app, a marketing site, membership sites and their WordPress blog to show ratings and snippets and extensions. So there's a few examples. So let's start with, well, I'll do all of them in order. Okay, so a website promoting an app, Peter. Now, Peter, is it your website? Do you own the website that's promoting this app? I'm assuming you do, or if it's a client. So you have to think about the website kind of first, right? So a website promoting an app. Well, what type of website is it? Is it a review site? Is it a blog? Basically, the idea is start typing in words that relate to the type of website that you're talking about. So with you, Peter, let's just type in website. Okay, so there's a schema for website. So let's look at what it's for. So if I click website, the first thing that'll come up is the schema type, right? As this is website, and then this is a description of the schema type. A website is a set of related web pages and other items typically served from a single web domain and access. So this is an okay schema type to use for a website. We haven't gotten down into the promoting the app bit yet. But as a starting point, your schema for your website might be website. It also might be blog, right? So let's just type in a keyword here. Okay, a website can be called a website can be called a blog. Well, there happens to be a schema property for blog, so let's click on it and see what it is. It's a blog, okay? So there's that, and that part's important to know first, I think, what type of website it is. But if you're now, to get a little bit more granular and detailed with you, Peter, if you're a website promoting an app, you have to ask yourself the question, is there a website page that promotes the app, or is the whole website dedicated to promoting this app, right? You have to start thinking more granularly. So if you're actually promoting something specific, like a product, type in the keyword product, right? So then we see financial product, individual product, music album, and product. So let's click on product. Any offered product or service, for example, a pair of shoes or a concert ticket, a rental car, a haircut. So product schema might be a better schema for you to use if you have a specific page on your website that's promoting that product, right? Another one is brand. Okay, so like, I don't know what your app is that you're promoting, but maybe it's a brand, right? So you could type in brand and just read what it is. A brand is a name used by an organization or a business person for labeling a product, a group, or something similar. So you have to, for the people out there that are really new to schema, you have to almost look at schema like almost like you look at your website hierarchy, right? Your website, so your website is going to be on a particular topic. Then you're going to have pages of your website that deal with specific subtopics of the main topic, and then maybe posts, or you'll have a blog. Like there's a lot of different elements to a site. And what schema's goal is doing is telling Google on a per page basis level what that particular page is about. Not what that entire website is about, but more in particular what that particular page on your website is about. That's a much, much better way at looking at how to build schema. I'll move on to Doran, where you're saying, local business, because that's probably one of the most popular types of schema is local business, right? So let's say, let's just go look at, a Google search for Edmonton plumber, okay, and we'll go look at their website. So let's go to Mr. Rooter. Okay, Mr. Rooter is a lot of things. It's a website, it's a brand. I'm sure Mr. Rooter has a bunch of different services that they offer, right? And they obviously have a lot of different pages on their website. So there's not like one type of schema is going to encompass every page of your website. That's not how you should be looking at schema. The only place where you should be looking at what your encompassing level of schema should be for is your homepage, right? The very, very homepage, not even the subsection of Edmonton that I'm on right now, but if I go straight to mrrooter.ca, the very, very homepage, what is this? Is Mr. Rooter a local business? Nope, because he's servicing companies all over the place, so he's not a local business. He's definitely a business, but I would say it's more a brand. Mr. Rooter's a brand. So the homepage schema is going to be different than the location page. So like, for instance, there was Mr. Rooter, and then the other page that I was on was Mr. Rooter Edmonton, right? So the schema for the homepage is going to be different than the schema for this page, because this page is about a different topic than this page. This page is about explaining who Mr. Rooter is, and that's the schema you should be building for the homepage, right? For me, it would be brand or organization. Mr. Rooter is a brand, so I would want to fill out, and that kind of brings us to the next level of schema. Once I know that, okay, brand is what I want to put on my homepage to tell Google what this entire website is about, I would say, okay, either brand or organization is another popular one. Okay, either one would do. And then, so that's the schema type. Now you have to start filling in the properties of the type. So on the left here in this window, this is where you're searching for the type of schema that you want to build. On the right, these are listing all the properties that belong to the organizational type of schema, because schema breaks down into two things: the types and the properties of the types. And as you can see, this has a lot of properties. Now that kind of intimidates some people, but here's what I say when you're building schema. Once you're confident in the type, which for Mr. Rooter, we know is a big national company. Okay, so we're going to go with organization. We load it up, and then we have to start looking at each element and saying, you have to ask yourself, do I understand what it's saying? If the answer is yes, then you may as well fill it out. So about. All you have to do to fill out the about property of the organization type is click on this blue check mark, okay? And this is kind of a bad one to start with because it's loading another level of schema. So I'm going to start with a different one. Let's go with, you can scroll through these. And as you get better and better at building schema, you'll be really, really quick at knowing which ones. A description, okay? So here I'll just click on the blue button, and I would literally write a description of my company or brand, okay? And then another one would be like email. Well, what is my main contact email for this business? info@domain.com. I just type it in. And then I scroll down. Do I have a fax number? Yeah, I got a fax number, so I'm going to put in my fax number. And then I'm going to, what's followee? I don't know what that is. Okay, you don't know what it is? Skip it. Okay. Founder. Do I want to say who the founder is? No, I don't give a shit about that. I know what a founder is, but do I really care about it? No, I don't. So you literally start going through this list. And like I said, guys, you will get better at knowing which items to put in, because you don't need to put in a lot of stuff. You'll get better at knowing it, and you just fill them in. And then once they're filled in, you have to give your schema a name. Okay, so we're doing Mr. Router. So let's say I'm going to do HP, stands for homepage, and then the company, router.ca. And then I have to save it to a folder. Now, the way our folders works are you can create new folders, okay, or by default, it will load all the domains you have attached to Project Supremacy, so that I would know, like if I owned router.ca and I had Project Supremacy installed, the domain would show up, and that's where I would put it, right? Like for instance, let's just call this, I don't know. I think you guys get the point. The domain would show up, that's where you would save it. And once it's saved, that's what this bottom left panel is for. These are all the domains that I own and that are hooked up to Project Supremacy. And that's where it's saving the schemas that I'm building. So rather than keep building, I'll show you something that's completed. Okay, so for Project Supremacy v3, which is literally the software that you're looking at and the website for that software that I'm building schema for. So if I go to v3.projectsupremacy.com, you can see the website is about our software that I'm showing you right now, right? So let's look at the schema that I built for this particular website. So I have build right here. I have the main category. You can see I have two of them. Okay, I have aggregate rating, and then I have software application. So I'm going to continue without saving. So for me, I chose software application as the most relevant main homepage schema type, okay? And I started filling out the fields that I thought were relevant. So I'm going to just click this button. And what this button does is it kind of hides all the stuff that you're not using and only shows you what you are. So when I want to just see what I'm working on, I click this to on, and it hides all the properties that I haven't filled out. So I filled out a software application schema, and you can see an alternate name. We call it PSv3 lots. The application category, well, it's software. The date that we published it, 2013 was when the initial v3 was created. A description of it, a feature list of Project Supremacy features, an image of our logo, the name of the software, the operating systems that it runs on. Same as markup is referencing the social properties that the software also is on, a screenshot of the item, the current software version, and a URL to the page. So when I render that all out, there's the schema that I built for our homepage, right? And I apply that to the homepage only. Now the next level is I want people to be able to rate our software. So you can see if I scroll down, okay, right here where it says read our reviews, we have 5 ratings from 4 reviews. We have people rating our software, and like if I click here to leave a review, you can put your name, your location, review it, and give us a score out of 5 stars and submit a review. That's what makes the star rating show up. It's called aggregate rating. The feature that you're seeing here is Project Supremacy gives you the ability to collect and display the ratings, which are also hooked into the aggregate rating schema, so that you can get stars on Google. Okay, and I'll have to go down that rabbit hole in a bit. But first thing that you need to do is say, well, there's the software schema, but now I want to rate it. So one of the other ones that I used in here was called aggregate rating. And you can see it's a bit different. It's not just filling in a form, but instead it opens up another level of schema that is, because you have aggregate rating is another type of schema and you have to fill out those properties. And I know this is going to be confusing for a lot of you guys, but you will get it over time, especially if you watch the training videos and not just me trying to explain it in 15 minutes in an answer. But aggregate rating is called a nested schema, meaning there's another entire schema property that I want to fill out, but hook it up to software application. And in this case, it's the aggregate rating. I want to rate our software application. So I created what's called a PSv3 aggregate rating schema, and let me show you that one. So here you can see aggregate rating. Or sorry, it's not that one, it's this one right here. And can you guys see this, how it's, I'm gonna zoom in, how it's kind of, I wish I could scroll further down the page, but you can see For this website, v3.project supremacy, let me try and give you an overview. For v3.project supremacy, I basically have two properties of schema that I'm using. One is an aggregate rating and one is a software application. So the homepage is using the software application for Project Supremacy v3, but the software application also has its own aggregate rating in it. And that's what I mean by nested. So this aggregate rating up here is it's out on its own, and then this aggregate rating is part of the software application. So they're very specific. Now I know that, like I said, for a lot of you people, this is probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's where you're going to need to go and watch the replays and the trainings specifically on this. But here's the aggregate rating for the software application that hooks up to the form that allows people to submit reviews, display reviews, okay? And then if I look at the source code of this actual page, and more specifically, we'll take you there. I'm gonna look for schema. Okay, here it is, guys. It all boils down to this. That piece of code is the same piece of code that we built right here. Literally, it's the same piece of code. And that's what we're building with schema. And that's what Google reads with schema. This part is allowing people to submit reviews and ratings so that we can get stars on Google. And that's this piece of code, the aggregate rating, which is tied into it. And if I do this on, and you guys, for building schema, you're gonna have to start Googling stuff to start getting a firmer understanding, because it is powerful and it is worth it. And it may sound complex to you right now, but it does get easier. Trust me. You do, once you want to understand the basic concepts of schema, you start understanding more and more how it works, what to put in, how to tie things together. So the structured data testing tool is basically a tool where you can put in a URL and it will tell you based on Google's view of your website what you're doing. So you can see, there it is. There's the software application schema. I have 0 errors, but I have 1 warning. If I want to see it specifically, I just open this up. There you can see all the same kind of shit, just in a different, and it's telling me there's a warning. You should have the offers recommended. Recommended doesn't mean necessary. It means recommended. So I've chosen to not put in offers. And then if I click on it, it just loads the same schema type that you saw over here. So I'm kind of showing you the same thing in multiple places. And I forget the original question, but I think it was like, well, what type of schema do we build? And that's your answer. Okay, like if you come into the PSv3 schema builder, that's what this getting started is about. To build a new schema, number 1, under the add new schema left menu, either search or click for the type of schema you would like to add. Local business, huge. Aggregate rating, huge. Brand, huge. Organization, huge. Recipe, huge. Literally though, guys, type in any keyword. You could even type in keyword. There's no schema for keyword. Oh, I spelt it wrong, but type in any keyword that you think encompasses the subject matter of the page that you're building schema for. Okay, and this is where you build the schema, you save it to the website, and then to upload it to the website, that's kind of the last step. Okay, you would go back to your websites tab, because the way our schema works is we have one place where you build and save all your schemas, and that's right there. Okay, even though I have 180 websites, I'm only have to go to one place to build schema, and then to insert the schema that I build, what I would do is go to my websites tab. I would search for the website that I'm trying to install the schema on. So up here, for instance, V3, I would type in V3. It'll find all the domains that have V3 in them. Now I'm going to go and manage this specific website, v3.projectsupremacy.com. And then I'm going to go over to the schema tab. Okay. And on the left, it's going to find all the schemas that you built and saved in that specific URL. So remember, there was 2. There was software application, there was aggregate rating. The left side is the schemas that you've built for this particular website. The right side is the schemas that it's showing you what is live on the specific posts and pages. So we default to your home page. Okay. And right now what it's telling me is I have the software application named PSv3 loaded on the home page. To take it off, I go like this. Okay, this is what you would see with no schema. To inject it, I go like this. And then I click Save Changes. And literally what that action did is it took the schema that we built in the schema builder and it just inserted it into the code, into the correct page, into your HTML, okay, on WordPress. Now, if I want to go to a specific page and install different schema, so for instance, the onboarding aggregate rating, which to give you guys a refresher of what the hell that was, I gave people the ability to rate our videos using aggregate rating, okay, using stars only instead of a written rating, because there's two types of ratings. There's a stars only rating, which is a rating. And then there's when you type out an actual review with words, that's a review. So this one is a rating only, where you're actually typing in your thoughts. That's called a review. So this one I chose to do ratings only, okay, on this URL. So there it is, the onboarding videos aggregate rating. What I would do to supply that on specific pages is I would click this tab first, because you have to specify where you want the schema to go. So I click on Browse Posts. Then to make it quicker, I go post type. Well, I want to look at only my pages. Then I'm going to show, 50 entries so I can see a lot of them. Okay. And then there they are, my onboarding sequence, lesson 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would select the page and then that loads it here, and you can see it's already there. But what you'd see by default is nothing. Okay. So now I have this particular page loaded. To inject the schema, I click the button. From where it's saved to where it's going, and I click save, and that's injecting the schema. We also have coming right away, because it's done, is the ability to upload this schema to multiple pages. So all you would do is do the same thing, browse posts, okay, and then I would go to pages. I'd show maybe 50 entries, and then there's a button that actually says select multiple pages. So I go click, 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 click. I select all the pages I want that schema to go to. And then what it does is it uploads this particular box for each page. And then I just click the button and it uploads it to all pages at once. And that's how you upload schema. So that's a very, very quick overview, guys, of how to choose schema, how to enter the properties, to save it to your website, to run the structured data testing tool to tell you if there's any problems with it, any recommendations or any problems. Then you go back and just fix what it's telling you to do, and then how to upload it to your websites or your specific pages. And a lot of people are probably still confused, but like I said, it's better to understand schema is quite a complex subject. So go into the onboarding videos specifically, go to the all lessons button and then watch these videos. I think they're around 20 to 30 minutes. Building and assigning schema and the schema duplicator. And I'm not going to show you the schema duplicator right now, because I think it's confusing enough right now. I don't want to try to confuse you more, or hopefully it's clear. Give me a 1 if it's clear. Give me a 2 if it's confusing. Let's do that. Yeah, it's very high level. Most people are saying 1. Actually, so far everyone's saying 1. It's very high level what I just gave you. When you start getting more into the nitty gritty of it, that's where you'll come up. You'll be like, you'll have more questions like, oh my God, nested schemas and stuff like that. But I think it's important before you get to details is to understand the concept first. Like for instance, a good analogy there is, if you were going to build a house and you had no idea how to build a house, what would the first thing you did be? You'd probably Google how to build a house and try and get an understanding of the process that's involved in building a house. You're not going to type in how to hook up electrical first, right? That's a detail of how to build a house. You have to understand the concept first of how to build a house. Well, first I have to dig out the hole and lay the foundation, and then I have to build the framing, right? And then things happen in a specific order, and that's the concept. And with schema, it's very, very important to first understand the concept before understanding the detail. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys right now is the concept. Understand what your website is about, or the page of your website, right? then go in and choose the schema that's most appropriate to either the home page or the specific page, then load it, find it, then load it, fill out the forms that you understand, leave the ones that you do not, save it to the website, upload it to the website, check for errors. That's the concept. Yeah, like Terry says, the high level, but the videos will help. The videos will help you guys, but the most helpful thing that you're going to do is start doing it and run into your problems, because honestly, guys, where do answers come from? Questions, right? Answers come from questions. If there was no questions, there would be no answers. So and answers to me, like when you're building schema, you're going to run into things where you're like, I don't understand what this nested means. Like, for like the easiest example for you guys is like a lot of these forms, I'm just clicking blue buttons and it opens up a form, but sometimes it opens up this, and that'll create a question for you. So go get the answer to the question, and once you have that answered, the next time you do it, you don't have to ask that question again. You'll understand immediately, oh, it's a nested schema, which means I need to build a new schema as a nested part of the overall schema. And that's one of the things that I know from experience, that people are like, I just want to type in the form. Well, you do type in forms, but sometimes you have to add a new schema, like this alumni, or a better example would be aggregate rating. When I'm building, my software schema, this one, okay, I know I want people to rate it, but in the schema builder, it's not as simple as just filling in a form for aggregate rating. I actually had to open up a nested schema and build a new one, fill in more forms, save that, then assign it to this, and that's how it becomes nested. Now, I know that might be really confusing to what I just said, but the point is, once you guys have done it once, you'll always understand how to do it. And every problem that you run into, once you figure it out once, you will never have that problem again. And the reason I'm telling you guys this about schema is because it is high level, it is complex, you are going to run into problems, but that shouldn't stop you, because it is that powerful. Schema is a very, very, very powerful thing. And it's a sellable thing too, because if you understand schema and what it can do for your clients, trust me, they're not going to want to learn how to do this shit. They're going to hire you to do it for them. And once you guys understand, and the better you get at it and the more problems you run into and solve, you'll become very, very fast at building and installing schema on a per page or per site level. I'm very, very good at it now. I still run into problems once in a while, but I'm very good at it now, and you guys will be as well. Okay, let me move on to the next question, because that was a really long answer. I told you guys would go like this. Rabbit hole, rabbit hole, rabbit hole. So Peter, that kind of, okay, Steve says, what would you suggest to use PSv3 to manage domains as a separate area from managing websites? Would you suggest creating tags and using this way to create your filters? I just started domain flipping, so I'm building a nice domain portfolio drawing from my experience with PSv3. So that kind of relates back to the tags, and my 3 tags are where it's hosted, where it's registered, and the type of site that it is. So if you're doing domain flipping, then yeah, Steve, I would install V3 on it and create a tag that says something like flipping, so that you know that you can quickly say, like, I want a tag for sites that I'm flipping, and you just, click on it, like I do with like supremacy sites. Like, I don't have a lot of supremacy sites, I only have 6, but sometimes I want to work on them specifically, and I just put on the tag, and now it's quick for me to go and look at everything that's supremacy site. You could do that with flipping. So hopefully that answers your question, Stephen. Dawn says my OCD rules. Yeah, it's a curse and a blessing. Bob's already gone, but he said, here's a few stats. There are 34. Okay, so if I go back to the webinars where you guys are going to learn the most, okay, getting your questions answered. How do I answer my questions sometimes is the question. How do I get the answers to my question is a great question. And that's going to be here, this link right here, our webinar replays. And the reason I'm doing this is because Bob left an interesting comment. Remember that Todd and I have been developing Project Supremacy V3 for years. And he said, so far there are 34 PSv3 webinars for a total of over 2,000 minutes, 36 hours of content that you guys have access to by keyword search. Local business, right? You can do star ratings, reviews, like everything I'm showing you how to find the shit I just talked about. Ratings, reviews, schema, duplicator. I didn't talk about it, I mentioned it. This keyword search function is how to find the answers to your questions, because we already have 36 hours of content for you guys to search through. And this is where you should start when you have a question about our product. Backups, restoring, okay, just tons of shit. Steve, where will there be an update where we can also, okay, I already answered that. How do we create specific schema data? That's kind of what I covered. Steve, what would you suggest use? I already answered that. What is the best browser to run V3 on? It should work on any browser but Chrome. Dorn member sites and their WordPress blog show ratings and snippet. That's not really in the form of a question. You guys, one thing I'll say about these webinars is typically people ask a question and then I'll go like down one of my long explanations that requires like 15 minutes of me showing you features to answer that question. And then you're typing in comments as I'm presenting about what I'm presenting. But then your comment comes in and it says something like mobile app. And then I read it and I have no idea what you're talking about. So you have to ask full questions on these Q&A webinars. Otherwise, I won't have any idea what you're talking about and what it's in reference to. So that's just a comment. Peter, how many schemas can you use on a page? So he's asking how many properties of schema can you use on a page, and you can use multiple. I think I've heard this, and I'm not 100% sure, but the first 3 are the most important that you use. So an example of that is on one of my sites, on one of my money sites, where affiliate sites, called How to Make Money with Bitcoin. I don't really keep it up anymore, but let me show you what I did do for that one. So like How to Make Money with Bitcoin was my blog, or like where I was teaching people about Bitcoin and how to make money with Bitcoin way back when Bitcoin was like a crazy rush, and like it's going to be again in a few years, and it's starting to right now. But this site, I would teach about Bitcoin. I would talk about Bitcoin things, different products that are related to Bitcoin. So one of the pages was about a product that I was recommending. So the overall site, okay, remember, once again, when you're choosing your schema, the first thing is like, okay, well, what is my general website about, right? So for that, I'll show you what I did for the How to Make Money with Bitcoin site. Now that you know, okay, this is a blog that I built where I'm teaching people about Bitcoin, but I'm also recommending products. So I have a lot of different pages for a lot of different purposes. So what is the overall schema that I used for How to Make Money with Bitcoin? Well, I chose to use brand. I wanted to see my site to be a brand. I wanted How to Make Money with Bitcoin to be a big brand. I could have chose blog. I chose brand. I don't think that part's too important. But then you could see I have, anytime I posted an article on my blog, I would create something called an article schema for that article. And all article schema is just literally like copying and pasting the article. So let me show you an example of it. Okay, so I would write an article on a subject of Bitcoin, and then I'd create a schema for it, and I'd even have people be able to review the article. So I would nest in aggregate ratings so they could rate the article. So there was that level of schema. And then on the product review pages where I was reviewing other people's products, okay, you could see right here, product. So like I was reviewing like Bit Club Network, for instance, and then you could see, well, Bit Club Network was a brand, so I included a brand schema to say, well, this particular page is on a site that is the brand of How to Make Money with Bitcoin, but the product I'm recommending, their brand is called Bit Club Network. So I did a brand and a product review rate and a rating. So it's like there was 3 levels of schema there. There was the brand of How to Make Money with Bitcoin, talking about the brand of Bit Club Network, and then a rating of the product that I'm reviewing. So the answer to the question is you can use as many as you want on any page, but I don't recommend. In schema's case, less is actually more. Okay, which is kind of nice because the less schema you build, the more specific it is, and it's less work to do less stuff, and it's more specific. So less is more with schema. Literally, the answer to anyone's question is like, go to the exact page on your site and ask yourself, what is this about? And then that's how you're going to build your schema. So on this one, I'm saying it time and time again here, like, let's just go to this page, investing. And what I'm talking about on this page is how to invest in Bitcoin, and what investing in Bitcoin means and is. Really, what is this? What is this? Well, it's an article. So I used an article schema here. Well, I also had a video embedded on this page, so I used video schema as well to tell Google, this is an article on my brand site of how to make money with Bitcoin, and I also have a video embedded, so I used a video schema, right? You can see it right here, video object, right? So always ask yourself, what is this page about? And then build schema to answer that question, and less is more. Terry says, do we have to decide what the purpose of the site and give Google the description in the format the way they want so they will send the appropriate people? Google will never send the appropriate people to your site. People will decide whether they want to visit your site based on doing searches in Google. But having specific schema to tell Google what your specific page is about is highly important. Yes. Terry, we should have something. He says he belongs to another group with 300 hours of video, but they don't have anything like the search function. Yeah, search function is huge. Article makes sense to do. Yeah, if it's an article, help Google and they will help you. Yeah. Really, guys, if another analogy, because I always like to help people try and visualize things. The way that we used to tell Google what our website was about was using plugins like SEO plugins, right? To say, what is the title, what is the URL, what is the description? And that was called metadata, right? So if I look at the metadata of any page, I can literally look up title, right? And we all know that there's a title tag that we use as search engine optimizers, and Google would come, this is back in the day, Google would come in and, well, they still do, but this was the only way that we had back in the day, is we'd have to tell Google what's the title of the particular page, right? And then what is the description of the particular page, right? As a meta tag. So meta name description equals how do I invest in Bitcoin? A great way to blah, blah, blah. So we had title, we had description, we had URL, and we had H1 tags. We had all these elements on a page, right, that we could optimize as search engine optimizers to help Google understand what our page is about. That was, 4 years ago, that was us 4 years ago. But now we have something called the semantic web, right, where things relate to other things, and Google's trying to understand big picture. So schema is a quicker, more efficient way, or an additional way, if you will, to tell Google exactly what your page is about and how it relates to maybe other topics or other pages. The best example of that is the same as markup, where let me go show you. Okay, when I build out the schema for Project Supremacy V3's website, which is a software application, there is a markup in there called same as, and this is part of semantic web. How does one thing relate to another is what semantic web is about. And same as is saying, okay, well, this website, is this Facebook page is the same page as this company, Project Supremacy V3, this is the Facebook page for that company, and this is the Twitter profile for that company. So there's a semantic relationship between this Facebook page, this Twitter page, and the actual website. Those are all related. So it's reaching further now than just what's the title and description of this URL. We're going further in the semantics with saying, well, this is the Facebook page, this is the Twitter page. What is the relationship between other elements? Another example would be founder or person schema, right? Where you could create a schema where I could actually do two founder schemas And one is about Todd Spears and the other one is about Hurt Magnus as the two founders of Project Supremacy. And then in that person schema, I would tell Google, okay, who is this person? Well, that his name is Todd Spears. His LinkedIn profile is this, and his Facebook page is this, and you can see how it starts spidering out. And that's called the semantic web, how one thing relates to another. And schema helps get that done better than what we have had with metadata of a page. So that's Google's way of crawling things in a more efficient, more just a better way. Yeah, get to the point for the page. Yeah, Dorn says very good breakdown of the type and what you add to the schema. Ivan asks, do schemas work with websites in another language? You must be talking about like say Wix or HTML, or is that what you mean, Ivan? Or do you mean English, French, German? Okay, you mean in a different language. All you would have to do for a different language is when you're filling out your properties, just fill them out in the language that your site's about. Because unfortunately, schema is derived from English. So like the official, if you guys really want to learn a lot about schema and you really want to geek out on it, go to schema.org. Okay, this is the official schema site and where they keep updates of anytime they add new schemas. This is where they're telling you about it. All the schema data you could ever want is on here, but it's all based on English. So the properties and the JavaScript is based on English language. So schema. Okay, so like you can see application context equals, all this stuff is based on English, and as far as I know, always will be. But if your website is in a foreign language, what I suggest you do is just fill out the forms. Like say you're writing a description of what your site's about, just write it in the language of your choice. It's still going to render out the JavaScript in English language, but the actual entries, which are the important things, can be changed to any foreign language. Yeah, I changed my name there just to be funny. Can you use PSv3 for HTML site management? Not yet. We might do that. You can use PSv3 though to build schema and install it on HTML sites and ecom sites and Wix sites and Weebly sites. And the way you would do that is just basically follow the same format where I showed you how to build schema. So let me give you an example. The first thing I might want to do is if I have an HTML site, okay, let's do this. I'm going to go to manage groups. The first thing I want to do is create a folder to save those schemas in. So I go to manage groups, and then what I would do, scroll to the bottom, and you can see it's a long line of websites that I have loaded, is add a new schema group. Okay, and that should really be at the top instead of the bottom. And I can do HTML and then domain.com so that I know that these are my HTML sites, and then I click OK. All right, and now I have a place to save it. So let me just refresh the page so that it'll show up now in my little folder here. So number one, create the place to store and save what you're going to build. Okay, so it must be further down the line. Where'd it go? You can see I've done it with like Andy and Project One. I don't know why that one, maybe I'm not seeing it. But create the folder first, okay? And then build the schema over here and save it to that folder. And to inject it into an HTML site or a Wix site or a Weebly site, all you do is this. Let me load one because I have to load it. Let's assume that this schema here was built for any other type of site, HTML, Wix, Weebly, any non-WordPress site. All you do is click on View JSON code and then click the copy button. And now it's actually copied this script. So then what you would do is insert it, whether if it's an HTML page, insert it in your header. If it's a Wix site, I don't know how Wix backend works, but they probably have something where you can install scripts, and you just copy and paste that code into your other type of site. Terry, business names, Terry Russell's marketing agency, Facebook website. Not sure what that's in reference to, Terry. Would the name differences be a problem? The names of what, for instance? Oh, what are you talking about? Same as, Terry? Yeah, same as isn't, you don't name same as is, it's just a link to the URL, right? So it's just a link. Google knows like what, because the URL says Facebook and then Twitter. You might have one for LinkedIn. You might have one for Instagram, all these, anything else that's a page that you own that's literally like for the same topic as this. You put it as a link here and Google understands who Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and shit like that. They understand who they are. I got to the end of the questions, guys. Any more questions? Typically these turn into schema webinars because I think it's pretty easy to understand how to use a WordPress management. The two most common features that these webinars turn into is schema and project planner, which is an optimization tool of Project Supremacy v3. That's a good question. What is the difference between the paid version of Project Supremacy v3 and the free version? Great question. So you guys with Pixel Scout that got onto a 30-day free trial, what you're going to see is everything that you see here. You'll be able to use everything, but basically anything that's in the shop. And if you guys don't see the shop tab, we're going to get that fixed. I've already seen someone say that. I'm going to figure out why the shop tab is not showing for you guys. But it's probably because shop is a la carte. Let me think about what I want to say here for a second. Let me go to the free trial page and do it that way. So for you Pixel guys, the best way to understand the difference between what you get on the free trial and what ends is to just look at this. Okay, this is the free trial page. The WordPress management functions, so everything on this page and this page, so the dashboard, which is your overall view, and then your websites, which is your individual view, you will get access to that for up to 50 sites, and you'll always have that as a free user. What you lose after the free trial is over, because the free trial includes everything, including some credits for all the things that are in the shop. So I'll go through these in detail. But what you'll lose, and I have to load two things to really detail it out. What you'll lose after the free trial is over, the ability to back up your websites, the ability to track the rankings for all your websites. So let me go through these one by one. Okay, so backups is simple, guys. It's a way to back up your websites automatically to anything, to any of these services. Dropbox, your own FTP, OneDrive through Microsoft, Amazon S3, and Google Drive. Okay, we have integrated with all of these services. You guys just need to go in, set them up, and then you could save your backups to any of those services. And then you choose your backup schedule, whether it be daily, weekly, or monthly, and then you choose the limit of backups you want to restore before the old ones start dropping off. People always ask me, what's the best schedule? Think of it like this. If you update your website on a daily basis, you better keep daily backups. If you update it on a weekly basis, keep weekly backups. And if you update only on a monthly basis, keep a monthly backup. How many should you keep? I don't know. That's up to you. I keep 5, meaning the oldest one deletes itself and you keep the 5 newest ones. If you're going to go on holidays for 2 weeks, maybe bump that up to 10. Okay, it's that simple. So this does backups. You lose that function after the free trial's over. Rank tracking is simple, guys. We integrated with Pro Rank Tracker API. You guys can track the rankings for any of your sites, any of your keywords, and see them all right here. Okay, and you get a certain amount of keywords that you're allowed to track with your free trial. Once your free trial is over, you won't even be able to access the rank tracker. You'll just see, make sure you upgrade your plan. The schema builder, that ends after the free trial ends. Article integration is the ability to order articles from I Need Articles or iWriter from right inside of Project Supremacy v3. I'm not 100% sure this is working correctly right now, just because these are APIs, and I know they've updated their APIs on our end, and I don't know if we've kept up to date. This isn't a very popular feature of Project Supremacy. We might even take it out. It's too much work to keep it updated for not enough people using it. But the idea was, don't go to those websites to order your content. Order them right here and then inject them into your sites from all right here. So you would lose access to that. Then on the plugin side, so remember the way Project Supremacy v3 works is you install a plugin which connects to your dashboard, but the plugin also has a whole bunch of little features within it. Okay, so let me show you the plugin. So here it is. We have, I'm not going to go over all the features. Basically what you would lose is everything except for the SEO settings. So it literally just becomes an SEO plugin and a WordPress management feature after the free trial. So the things that you lose are the reviews. What the reviews are, this is the area, remember when I was showing you guys those pages that you could set up, actually I have one on this page, where you can set up a form to collect, here it is, to collect reviews for your website and then display them, which hooks into your aggregate rating and automatically updates everything as people are leaving reviews. These are widgets. We also have short codes so that you can display them on your websites. You lose the ability to design and display those, so automatic review for aggregate rating. You lose the project manager, which I didn't even talk about on this webinar, but I would look it up. Watch the webinars. Any webinar about the project planner, watch it. It's amazing. But basically what the project planner is this is it. This is what it looks like. It is a one-stop area, like a central dashboard to manage the on-page elements of every single page on your website from one spot. It's simply amazing. There's no other tool like this. Instead of going page to page to optimize, you just pull your pages into this dashboard, and then there you go. There's your title, URL, description, and H1, plus the keywords you want to rank for, plus their data, plus the competition data, plus where you're actually ranking for these keywords for this page. That goes away with the free trial. The link management function is basically pretty links. If you guys know what that is, it's a way for each of your domains to create affiliate links or whatever type of link you want, track the stats of it, and then also have a pretty link. So if I'm creating an affiliate link and I want it to come out of Project Supremacy, I can have that link look like a Project Supremacy link. There it is right there. Okay, but it's actually leading to an affiliate link. It's a pretty link for your domain. And then the rescue center is a few different things. It allows you to move forwards and backwards between WordPress versions very, very easily, like as things are updating. This is basically a virus scanner for your plugins and themes, and your upload directory. So if people are doing, it's for something called SQL injection attacks. Typically in WordPress, when people attack your WordPress, they find a vulnerability in either one of your plugins or your themes, and then they upload PHP files into all over your frickin' website in all your files that they can get into. This scans all your files and folders for malicious shit and can help you delete it. So it's basically just a virus checker. And then the cloning allows you to clone one website to another website. You would lose that as well on the free trial. So there's a lot of amazing features outside of the free trial. And then the reason I wanted to show you the shop versus the a la carte. Okay, the pricing of things comes into play here. So if we go to get started, basically the way we price things, guys, is based on packages, right? So here's the real, so 3 different packages: a personal, a pro, or an agency. Basically what these are is packages of all the integrations that cost us money. So keyword rank tracking, AdWords volume and CPC, so that you guys can get back in the project planner, when you're pulling in your keywords that you're interested in ranking for, you can get the AdWords, the actual AdWords volume and cost per click on them. So Managed WordPress has 2,900 searches a month, and the CPC is $8. So these are the AdWords CPCs and volumes for the project planner. It's kind of like keyword research. Okay, that's I'm trying to get back to this page here. So that's what the AdWords volume CPC are. The competition metrics, what those are is these 4 things: the broad, the phrase, the title, and the URL. These are competition metrics that Google gives for each of these keywords Todd has a private proxy server that allows us to run these, but it's very, very expensive. So if you want competition data, like how easy or hard is this keyword to rank, if you want that data, that's what that is. Oh, that keeps going back. That's kind of annoying. I might have to like lower the aggressiveness on this. Ahrefs and Majestic stats, that's being able to pull in like your backlink profiles for each of your domains and the power of your domains. And then the schema builder are all included, and different amounts of credits and levels for each of the packages. Obviously personal is the smallest, then pro, then agency. Those are the packages, and they include all the elements. You could buy those, and that's probably the cheapest overall way to buy things. Once you're over your free trial and you do want to use them, this is the cheapest way to get them. And in your account, you will see, instead of the shop, you will see a want more power button, and those are the same packages that are going to load up. Once you have a package, if you'd like to add more of a single element, like you're like, well, I just want more rank tracking, or I just want, more Majestic credits. This is where you can go a la carte and buy just smaller items in the shop. So that's the difference in pricing and why we have a shop. It's for you to totally customize your experience with Project Supremacy V3, because everybody's different. They want different things. Some people want more rank tracking. Some people want more AdWords metrics, right? So you can do that with the shop. Johan says, incredible. Project Supremacy V3 is supremacy for agency management. Yeah, if you run an agency, V3 is an amazing tool to have with an agency. Here's a really cool feature for agency owners. Let's go to websites. Let's go back to, we'll just choose whatever website. If you're an agency, tag it as a client. So let's say this Lollipop Luskel was a client, okay? And I would tag them, client. And then let's say for some, we went in and we started doing SEO work with the client. And number one, we don't want the client, actually I'm gonna choose a different website so I can show it to you in both sides. That's a really cool feature. People love this one. Okay, so here's Project Supremacy V3 back, the WordPress, right? Let's say that this was a client. So let's actually load up that website. And you don't want the client messing with your shit, right? Because clients sometimes are like, oh, my webmaster guy is good at this shit, so I'm gonna go change everything you've done. So what you can do for the SEO settings, so this is what your client's website looks like, a typical WordPress backend looks like, right? So there's Project Supremacy V3, and this is where you do all the SEO work and shit like that. You don't want your client messing around with that. You come here into your dashboard, you click hide plugin, and now I'll refresh this page. And the reason it's saying that is because it's now hidden. Let me get back to the actual page here. So there you go. PSv3 admin's just something for us. You can't see the plugin anymore, and your client can't see the plugin anymore, meaning they can't go do anything to your SEO work because you hid the plugin from them. And then when you want to go and do the work, you just come back here and oops, sorry, wrong one. You click show plugin again, and then you can go in and do the work on your client site again. So there it is. Now it's back, which is really, really cool feature. But we took it a little step further. Let's say your client doesn't pay you, and they remove your WordPress access. You can actually still go and deactivate the plugin on them by clicking deactivate plugin. And what that does is it deactivates the plugin and severs all the connection of all the SEO work and the schema and all the great stuff that you've done for them. It actually severs the connection, so it literally disappears off their WordPress site, but it saves all the work in a database, so that you can say, well, you don't want to pay me while I'm deactivating the plugin, even if they've suspended your WordPress access from their end. Doesn't matter. Deactivate the plugin. It takes all your work away from them until you can come to some sort of mutual agreement, and then you would go and reactivate the plugin again. And then the final one is a permanent delete, safe remove, and wipe everything. Safe remove means take the plugin off, but keep all the data in case I want to put it back on in the future. And wipe everything means no, delete all the work. It's permanent. It will always be gone. It will never come back. So a lot of options for what to do remotely with your client sites or your own sites. Johan, have you considered sending backups to Rackspace? No, not yet. We might in the future. It's just, those are big. Those are the most popular ones, the biggest ones that most people use. So we go with the most popular shit at first. Any more questions? How long have we been on here? We're almost at 2 hours. I'm kind of at the end of the questions here, guys. So unless anybody has any more questions, that'll probably be it for this webinar. But any questions you have, go ahead and ask. And I'm glad to hear that. Terry says he learned quite a bit. That's enough for one webinar, Dennis says. Yeah, that's a lot, guys. Like we said, V3 is a very, very big tool with a lot of features. And unfortunately for Todd and I, it intimidates people. They think, I don't want to use that, it does too much. And the sad part about that is that it sucks that, you know, you feel like I don't want to use this tool because it does too much, but it only does what you tell it to, right? You have all it's like a Swiss Army knife, right? Think of it this way. If all you want to do is cut wood, well, then just pull out the friggin' knife and cut wood. Don't worry about the corkscrew. But if you ever want to learn about a corkscrew, you can. And then now you can unbottle your wine and cut up, whittle wood while you're drinking wine. It's your choice. It's a very, very powerful software and it does a lot, but that shouldn't stop you from using it. Just use the features that you want. And as time goes on, you'll learn about new features. And trust me, guys, every single feature that is in the dashboard and every single feature that is in the plugin is there because people wanted it and people use it, especially me. I'm not even the biggest user anymore. I was for the longest time. I was the guy that had the most websites on, but there's like 4 or 5 people now that are managing even more sites than me. There's one guy with like 600 websites. Thank you, Dennis. He says it's effing amazing. Is this recorded? Yes. All recorded webinars for Project Supremacy V3 are on v3. You guys can even just go to v3.projectsupremacy.com. If you can't remember specific URLs, just remember v3.projectsupremacy.com. And this little button right here, webinars, it'll take you to all the replays. It's on the front end. Everybody has access to this. This is the blog. We're gonna try and get a writer to start writing more shit about Project Supremacy V3 and certain SEO elements and stuff like that. So all replays are always going to be there. And that is not in a members area. That is out in the front end. Johan says he's got to have the tool. It's a time and energy saver. It's massive. I'll tell you this. One of the analogies Todd and I wrote or thought of when we first built this is like, we literally want this tool to be like a television remote for people. People who watch TV that have a remote will not watch TV if they cannot find the remote, even though it is possible. You can walk up to the TV and press the power button and then turn your channels with your fingers, but people won't. If they don't have the remote, they won't watch TV because they're just so ingrained in sitting at the couch with the remote. And that's what we want with V3. We want V3 to be so ingrained in you guys that when you install it on a website, you're like, I must use V3 because everything I do is so much easier with V3. It's like sitting on a couch with a remote. The first plugin I install anytime I get a new client, anytime I build a new site, has to be V3. And for me now, guys, being that we've built it and use it, it absolutely 100% is, because even installing the plugin Project Supremacy V3 as the first plugin on a WordPress site makes setting up the WordPress site faster. Because all I do is install Project Supremacy V3, then I go load it up over here. I search for the website that I just installed the plugin on, and you don't even have to go to the website to install the plugin. You can actually install it from a CSV file, which is crazy. You can literally set up WordPress sites and install the plugin right from the dashboard. It's crazy. But once the site's set up, whoops, wrong way. You can go here to the manage website and just start installing your plugins and your themes right from here. You can also go to the plugin, go to the V3 dashboard and use the quick setup module, easy WP setup. remove all the pages, remove all the posts, set my permalink structures to SEO friendly, remove all the comments, disable comments, set up all these additional pages, choose the plugins that I want to have installed here and here, click go, your website's set up. And now, and also in the dashboard. So like literally, V3 is the first plugin I install. It makes everything I do from that point on much more faster, much more efficient. And then because I have ability to manage everything from one place, it just makes my whole life much, much, much easier. Walt says, are you still doing any affiliate or PPC to monetize your sites? If not, what are you using Project Supremacy for these days? I haven't done a lot of affiliate. Okay, first thing, I've never done PPC. Well, I have, but not to any profitable scale or anything like that. I did build a lot of affiliate and AdSense sites, and I'm not really doing that anymore because we're so focused on building really Project Supremacy V3 and our other software, our software company, really, that I'm not as much doing SEO or anything anymore. So what am I using V3 for? Number one, all the software sites, all the so Project Supremacy V3, SERPtech, Pixel Scout, everything runs on WordPress. So I do keep everything up to date from here, all our Supremacy software sites. I have a huge PBN that I'm eventually going to use again. I just keep everything managed from here. I use V3 a lot still, even though I'm not actively building a lot of sites, other than the Supremacy software sites, which I use V3 to manage. I still use it to keep my network updated. I use a lot these days the affiliate link module, this part, link management. You guys can see, like, even I want to track webinar registrations, I build a link. I want to track links on my website, I build a link. Any affiliate promotions we do, I build a link. I use a lot, and I use it on every website. So like if we promote something, an affiliate program, whatever, and we're sending mails from Project Supremacy, I build the link here so that it's a Project Supremacy link. Let me copy the mask URL again. Okay, there's what the link looks like. My affiliate links are always branded to the domain that I'm sending them from. So Pixel Scout would say Pixel Scout !go equals whatever. I use this a ton now, the link manager. What else do I use a lot? I still use the project manager a lot to do optimization. And then of course, I use the dashboard a lot to just make sure everything's clean and updated. Dorn NFW, no effing way. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but I'm glad you liked it. Sorry, I'm just drinking coffee here, guys. Any more comments, questions? Last call. Oh. He's like, I didn't know I could watch TV without a remote. That's awesome. Well, you can. You can do SEO without V3 too. You just shouldn't. It's just so good. It's so good. It's literally, guys, the coolest thing about it is it was built from processes, right? I wonder if I still got the folder. I'll show you where, way back, like the very, very, here it is. So when I used to build affiliate websites, I always had this little setup, this little thing of folders and files that I would Tempered Glass Screen Protector, for instance, was a website that I built, and I would always have this folder set up where I had a folder for articles that I wanted to put, one for images, and then here's my text file that has all the affiliate links that I'm going to build, and then any article notes for future. And then there's this one file called Keyword Research, where I would plan out the pages and the keywords that I wanted. So there's my logins, just whatever. I would duplicate this folder anytime I built a new affiliate site so that I'd be organized. But this one in particular, I'd always build a plan for a website, because just like when you build a house, you build a blueprint before you build a house, right? Or at least smart people do. But me, when I built a website, I would build a plan. So this would be my home page. This would be a page that I built for reviews. Here's some keywords for install and apply. So basically I would go do keyword research and I would start bringing the keywords into this Excel folder, and I set up conditional formatting on the Excel folder. So if I found a keyword, so something like, you know, how to lose weight, I would put in the keyword and then I'd immediately go to a keyword research tool, find the volume, let's say it was 9,900. I'd put it in and see how it turned green right away. And then the cost per click, I would know, I would type this in manually, oh, it's $3, and then it would turn green. And then the same thing, these are broad phrase, title in URL. So if I type this keyword into Google, it would tell me that there's like 2 million results. I'd type that in, or 2 million, not 200,000, and it would turn yellow. And I set all this up. I set all this up so that I had a plan and I had data and I had all the information that I needed immediately to go and build out a website very, very fast. Because then what I would do is I would build this page, I would copy and paste the title, the URL, description, the H1, and I would optimize each of them based on the keywords, based on the volume, based on the competition. And then I would, as rankings were coming in, I'd come and manually update this spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet kept me on track, man. It was badass. And I was like ranking for shit and getting huge traffic, but it was really, really kind of shitty to do it manually every time. And does this look familiar to anyone? Notice, okay, obviously you guys said yes. This is Project Supremacy version 1. It's like 5-6 years ago, a spreadsheet to keep me organized, to keep me in check, to build a plan to optimize my sites. That was Project Supremacy version 1. And that's all it was this, but it was nowhere near as good as this, of course. And I built that out myself. And then this is literally this kind of look, this idea is what I brought to Todd. Todd brought in Schema. We launched it with Schema and a couple other cool tools. And then we realized, well, we need to make it onto a dashboard, and it just evolved over time. And that's where we have arrived today. So it's kind of cool to come back and look at this stuff. And the point to what I'm saying, guys, is this tool was built from processes that I actually used when I was building my career as an affiliate SEO first, AdSense SEO to a client, to a rank and rent. This tool was built off of real processes from real users, including myself, and mainly myself, but then now all our other thousands of users. It's a good tool, and it's built from real work, right? So that's why it's well thought out, I guess, is the point. It's really, really well thought out. Like if we do a process, we're like, man, we need to automate that and put it into the tool, right? Oh, you still got that file, Walt? That's cool. Yeah, I probably gave this out on some webinars before. I taught webinars on this way back in the day. But yeah, now it's automated. All this shit's automated. And it's so good. I really, really highly suggest you guys go watch the Project Planner webinar. 2 hours of trainings just on this feature alone is so good for your SEO, guys. It's so good for your SEO. PSI, so I am new, so I haven't searched Knowledge Database yet, but I want to know more about SSL certificates. I've done research on different resellers on the internet. What's the difference between a free certificate and one that costs $500 a year? Todd's probably better to answer that. I'm not sure if he's still on yet. He's actually not. He had to go pick up his kid. Well, I'll try and answer it. As far as I know, I just use free SSLs and I've never had a problem. If anybody else knows the answer, I'd ask that in the group too. I believe your name is Leela. I'd ask that in the Project Supremacy Facebook group. Walt says don't spend more than $5 a month on an SSL. Yeah, I've used free SSLs, and most hosts are now coming with free SSLs anyways. But ask in the group for sure. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to end it there because I don't want to keep twisting your arm to ask me more questions, and people are kind of slowed down. So we'll end it there. Replay will go up tonight or tomorrow and will be available. Once again, go to v3.projectsupremacy.com and then just click on this little webinar icon, and that's where you'll be able to see the replay. Bob Perot is the guy that makes the keyword search possible. So he will do his magic so that this all becomes searchable again. Hopefully you guys like the webinar. Hopefully you guys grab the tool. Other than that, have a great weekend. I know I will. Thanks for coming on. Thanks, Walt. He says, best free knowledge base available. Love what Bob does with a spreadsheet. Yeah, thanks, Dennis. Thanks, PSI. Thanks, Dorn. Thanks, Walt. Thanks, Dennis. Okay, talk to you guys later.